Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I want to show you my new build that I have been playing recently, which is Power Siphon and Kinetic Blast in Stacking Wander. And this isn't really gonna be a guide, it's more like a showcase, because I don't really expect too many people to be able to play this build, because it is very expensive. In fact, I did spend around 700 exalts on this build, and I could spend much more, and I still don't even have a headhunter or mage blood, which would improve the build even more. So first let me show you just a one random map, because this build is mostly made for mapping, but it still can do pretty much every content in the game. And the only content that I had issues with is the wave 30 simulacrum. So I did complete like I believe 25 waves, but I wasn't able to complete the 30. But I did all of the other content like Blight Ravaged maps, the Flawless Chayula Bridgestone, all of the invitations and so on. So it is very powerful build, but obviously you should expect this amount of power from a build that costs like 700 exalts. But again, I mostly wanted this build to have a nice clear, and as you can see here, it pretty much obliterates everything. I still haven't tried the 100 Delirious maps and like the Scourge maps, but I think I actually would have some issues because this build actually doesn't have that great of survivability. I do have 10,000 energy shield, but that's pretty much it in terms of survivability. I don't have the like any other forms of defenses, like no armor, no evasion, no block, so I still died quite often. But probably a headhunter or mage blood is gonna fix like some of those issues. So that was map. Now let me show you the single target on Sirus that I did yesterday. This is the last phase. So as you can see here, he dies like almost instantly. And here is the feared invitation. So I'm gonna die here. As you can see, the defense is not too great, but that was pretty much my mistake. I shouldn't have done that, because Chayula obviously deals a lot of damage. But after that, when I actually watch out and avoid most of the mechanics, I don't really have any issues with killing the feared bosses. The one bad thing about this build is that it uses the Power Siphon for single target, which means you actually have to aim, the boss have to stand still, and you have to stand still, which means you are vulnerable to take damage. But if you can stand still, as you can see here, you just obliterate any boss. And here I swapped a ring for Reflect Immunity for Atsiri, and I actually can get Reflect Immunity if I get my Awakened Elemental Damage with attacks to level 5. And here I died second time because I didn't notice the Elder one-shot mechanic. Okay, so at that point encounter is pretty much over, so I think I'm just gonna skip it. Right now I just have to finish the Atsiri and the Shaper. So let's talk about what this build is all about. So first thing, this is int stacking damage, int stacking build. So what that means is you want to have as much int as possible, and I have almost 2000 int, and that's mostly because of this wand. So this one has been mirrored, so I paid 1 mirror plus 80 exalts for fee. So it has the 1 to 6 lightning damage to attacks with this weapon per 10 int. So you just stack in to get as much lightning damage as possible, flat lightning damage. And on top of that, it has 1% spell damage per 16 int. But the Power Siphon and Kinetic Blast are attacks. You are actually attacking with the wand. You are not casting a spells. so spell damage doesn't work in this case. But because I have Crown of Ice and it gives increases and reduction to spell damage, also applied to attacks at 150% of their value, this gives me damage to attacks from spell damage, and in fact it gives even more because it's 150% of the value. And another reason why you want to stack int is because of the mastery. 1% increased spell damage per 16 int, and again it is converted to attack damage. And also on my amulet I do have, unfortunately, tier 2, but I still have 1% increased damage, just overall damage, per 15 int. And even on top of that I have the anointment on amulet, Tranquility, which gives Transfiguration of Soul, so increases and reduction to maximum energy shield, also applied to spell damage, which again is converted to attack damage. And on top of that, int, just stacking int overall, increases the amount of energy shield I have and mana, so it also is good for survivability. Another sources of damage is plus projectiles. So we are shooting with Power Siphon Barrage, so the more projectiles you shoot the better. So I have the enchant with plus 2 additional projectiles, and the Wand Mastery, Wand attacks fire and additional projectiles, so even more projectiles. On top of that I have both power and frenzy charges, which I am stacking on Atlas, so I have one here, here, and here I have a frenzy, and over here. And I am generating them. First of all, just Power Siphon for single target is just generating the power charges when you hit rare or unique enemy. And for clear, I do have Disciple of the Forbidden, which gives me power charges on kill. And for frenzy charges, I do have Chest, which gives me 10% chance to gain frenzy charges on hit. So it works both on mapping and on bosses. I also have 3 curses, so I am using Conductivity from Synthesis Ring, Elemental Weakness from just casting Hydrosphere, and whenever Hydrosphere deals damage, it applies Elemental Weakness. And on top of that, I do have Sniper Mark, which is applied by Arcanist Brand, which I am also just casting from time to time on bosses with Enhance. And how do I have 3 curses? So first one is just base from any character, second one is from Whispers of Doom, you can apply additional curse, and third one is from Ascendancy. And I am Ascendant, so I chose the Occultist. You can apply additional curse, so in total 3 curses. Also I do have Exposure from Hydrosphere, so minus 10% to resistances. And the second Ascendancy I have is Berserker, so I deal 15% more damage. I do have Rage, which means I also can use Berserk, so in Berserk window I do have a lot more damage. And also obviously my flasks are mostly just for damage, so I have Cinder Swallow, Bottle Faith, Wise Oak, and just a diamond for crit flask. So this is how I am just scaling my damage. Obviously on top of that you want to scale as much int as possible, so my Varagalia has percentage int and +1 to int gems because of elevated percentage int mod. On Atsir Reflection I have int, on my amulet I have percentage attributes and int, Synthesis Belt with percentage int and flat int, Ring with percentage int and flat int, and the same for gloves. And I do have 6-link Power Siphon in my chest, so for single target setup, and in my gloves I do have Kinetic Blast with Elemental Focus, GMP, and Elemental Damage for attacks, plus faster attacks, faster projectiles, and crit multi from gloves. This is basically 7-link. And for Power Siphon I am using damage on full life, barrage, elemental damage with attacks, lightning penetration, and elemental focus. For all of the other positive effects that you most of the time just want to have on your build, I do have Tailwind on boots, I have Onslaught on kill, so it's not on me when I am fighting bosses, but still I do have it during mapping, and the Elusive on crit. And I also have Cooling Strike from Power Siphon. So Power Siphon, I believe, is the only skill in the game that actually have built-in Cooling Strike too. So as you can see here, the second line, just you have Cooling Strike. For all of my immunities in this build, I do have Unaffected by Curses thanks to the Azir Reflection. I cannot be shocked thanks to the Charge Mastery. You cannot be shocked while at maximum power charges. I cannot be stunned thanks to Ascendancy. Occultist cannot be stunned while you have Energy Shield. I cannot be chilled thanks to the boots, and cannot be frozen thanks to the boots. I also cannot be maimed thanks to this jewel, which is not really needed, but it can help sometimes. Corrupting Blunt immunity from Viridian Jewel, the Intuitive Leap. And for Ignite, I actually am not Ignite immune, but I have 60% less duration of Ignite on me from my Pantheon, and I am also, by the way, using Solaris because I don't really need anything else. And on top of that, I do have the Ignite duration, reduce the Ignite duration on you from my jewels. So in fact, I could actually stack a lot of them and just be Ignite immune. And this actually, by the way, stacks separately from the Pantheon, because this one is less, this one is duration. So I do need more than 40%. I actually would need 100% total from the jewels to be completely igniting them. On top of that, I also can be Reflect immune. So again, if I get Awaken and Elemental damage with attacks on both my Power Siphon and Kinetic Blast setup, the level 5 gives damage cannot be reflected. So that gives Reflect immunity. For survivability, unfortunately, pretty much the only source of my survivability is my just big pool of Energy Shield. I could maybe somehow fit Determination, but I am using Discipline, Wrath, and Precision just for damage. Maybe I could somehow fit Determination, maybe with just some Reservation here and Reservation Mastery. I will have to think about it. Again, this build is not really fully finished, even though it is 700 Exalt. There's still a lot of min-maxing I have to do. So yeah, I just have a big Energy Shield pool, but if something just hits me like physical damage, I take a lot of damage because I have no armor, no evasion, no spell suppression, nothing else, no block. Well, I guess I have a little bit of block, but not too much. But for my recovery, actually I have pretty nice recovery because I have Ghost River for Energy Shield Leech, and I am using Wand Mastery for some Life and Mana Leech, and also I have Life and Mana Leech on my helmet. I could maybe replace this with Accuracy Rating, then maybe I could remove Precision, but I would still need to get some crit somewhere, so yeah, again there's a little bit of min-maxing needed. And my Ascendancy, Occultist gives me 1.5% Energy Shield per second. Okay, so in terms of Ascendancy choice, you can do this build on a lot of builds. You can do obviously Ascendant, you can go for Occultist, you can go for Deadeye or Raider. A lot of them are actually very nice, even Assassin. But I think Ascendant is actually probably the best because it just gives you the best out of all of those. You get some nice damage thanks to the Berserker, you get plus Curse, you get Cannot Be Stunned, and so on. So you get actually quite a lot from this Ascendancy. Occultist would probably be better in terms of survivability because you get some ES regen and you also get some nice clear from Profane Bloom. In terms of investment, I actually my next upgrade are probably gonna be Headhunter. Then I will also test out Mageblood. Gonna see how it is on this build. I also would like to have double corrupted Asiri reflection, maybe with some +2 auras or something. Also, I could double corrupt the gloves for elemental weakness on hit, then I could remove this ring. I would have conductivity in this setup instead of elemental weakness, and then I could get another like 7% increased int on my ring. Obviously I could go for amulet with tier 1 increased damage per int and so on. I don't have flat int on my chest yet, so again there's a lot of improvement. And the biggest one would probably be cluster jewels. So I'm using cluster jewels with 12 passive points, item level 84, and you need it to be 84 to get 35% increased effect of the small passive skills. So they give me +2 int and +2 maximum energy shield. Second one is int energy shield, and the last one is attribute int and energy shield. And each one of them I believe did cost like 20 exalts, so just cluster jewels were around 60 exalts. And my Watcher Eye is also not that great, I would say. It gives me attack speed with precision and energy shield on hit, which I would also like to be improved. Maybe some crit multi with precision, maybe something with Wrath Aura, also maybe clarity, energy shield from mana. I guess we will see. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna do a lot of content with this build, like I'm gonna do a lot of Atlas strategies, some bosses. I'm gonna try to go deep in Delve, and eventually I actually still will want to try out doing the wave 30 simulacrums, but probably for that I will need either a headhunter or mage blood and even more. I guess we will see. So thanks for watching and see you next time.